This episode of the Fellowship Podcast is once again graciously supported by our friends at Howie's Market. Now, to pull back the curtain, Howie's Market has just re-upped their sponsorship with us. Our first slate of ads ran their course last week, but the owners of Howie's Market had already put another check in the mail to keep this partnership humming. And quite frankly, folks, you'll love to hear that. As the founder of Nation Golf, I have such a deep appreciation for fellow small business owners. And when small business owners can work together and mutually benefit, that's the dream. So I want our listeners to remember the name Howie's Market. I want everyone to go follow their social media feeds and show them some love. And most importantly, I want you to go visit their destination grocery store the next time you're in the San Gabriel Valley. Because at the end of the day, who really wins here? You, the listener, win. You get a free podcast because Howie's is picking up the tab. And if you get down to their market, you get to shop an award-winning grocery store with the best meat, seafood, produce, liquor, wine, and beer in all of Southern California. Shout out to Howie's Market, proud friends and supporters of the Fellowship.
If a tie is a tie, how come it feels so much like a loss?
Because ties...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fellowship, a weekly general talk iPod broadcast masquerading as some sort of golf show. My name is Adam Hawk. To the audience's dismay, I do most of the talking around here. His name is Ryan Engle, and to my dismay, he does most of the derailing around here. Together, we own and operate Nation Golf, a men's apparel company that celebrates the timeless aesthetic of the golden era of golf. And guess what? We just dropped 4 brand new T-shirts, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is just the tip of the iceberg for the fall holiday season. But we encourage you all to navigate your browsers to nationgolf.com and take a look at what the good guys have cooking on Al Gore's World Wide Web.
I just thought of a new phrase to coin.
What?
Are you ready?
A phrased coin, coined a phrased?
Come on, stay with me, Adam. You love to tee it. You love to tee it. You love to tee it.
Okay.
It could be a multitude of things. In this specific situation, Adam, it's the new T-shirt line from nationgolf.com.
You love to tee it. That uniform resource locator, again, is nationgolf.com.
We should have went .org or .co.
.gov.
We own the real one. We already bit the bullet on that. We could pull a Cole Young and act like we're shittier than we are and say it's nationgolf.net.
And with that, I welcome in the aforementioned Ryan Engle. Ryan, how in the HE double toothpicks are you?
You know, feeling refreshed.
No way.
Yesterday, got to partake in my, top 3 favorite things in the world to do.
And I know what it was because if I turn on Instagram, I get the reality show that is the Engle family.
Well, it's the lazy river, Adam.
We know.
You get me in a lazy river. It's the fountain of youth. It really is.
You know who you remind me of right now? Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, you are documented on a regular basis, and I don't think you have any idea that any filming of you is taking place.
Yeah, and isn't it wild?
I'd like to hear your Ozzy Osbourne impression right now.
Oh, why would anybody want to watch us on a day? Tell you what, piñas and a lazy river, there's a lot of people out there investing in cold plunges. I mean, that was pretty 2023. Now we're on to saunas. But, yeah, we're investing in all this fun stuff at home to work on your physical and mental health, and you love to health it. But I've got an idea. Maybe what everyone really needs in their backyard is a lazy river.
Okay, and quite a bit of real estate to make that happen.
Well, you could do a small one. Look, when you are forced to sit still, soak up some vitamin D, and chill off your undercarriage at the same time while moving at parade speed with a cocktail in your hand, name me a better time than that.
You were at Wild Rivers. Do they allow cocktails in the lazy river?
Oh, yeah. You know why? This is the best part about it. They've got the lifeguards that monitor, right? But each one of them is right past one of the entrances. So they don't even say anything because they realize that if they were to say something, you just go, hey, you can't have that in there, and be like, oh, well, I'll get out at the next stop. Then you get to the next stop and there's a new guy. Hey, you can't have that. So they know it's just you're chasing your tail. So they just let it ride, brother. As long as you're not doing anything stupid, that's what they're looking for. But if you're in there with a lifeguard hat on, holding a cocktail like you know what the fuck you're doing, they ain't saying shit.
The height of privilege, ladies and gentlemen, is going to a water park in a lazy river 3 days before hopping a bird to the most remote landmass on planet Earth, the islands of Hawaii.
Hawaii.
For my money, there is nothing worse than the final 72 hours before vacation. All you want to do is leave and be there, but it always seems like there's an insurmountable amount of tasks and to-dos and errands to get done beforehand. So 3 days before vacation, what is your mindset right now?
Feeling pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Not a ton of stuff to get done and squared away before you...
Yeah, there is, but I'm not going to waste the energy to invest too much into that.
If you could use the energy to speak into the microphone...
Shut up, dude.
That would be great. Now, on a serious note, this is your first time back to Maui since the wildfires last year, and you and your family were actually in Lahaina just a few weeks before the disaster. This is a place you've visited countless times. Your wife is from there. It's a home away from home for you and a homecoming for her every time she goes there. What are, if any, the emotions going back to a place that in many ways will not look at all how you and her remember?
We've been very involved with a lot of the happenings over there, and so we're very well informed of the current state. It's still going to be shocking to see Lahaina gone, but I'm not as worried about it because thankfully my wife, who has a way greater emotional connection to it than I do, she got to go a few weeks back for a photo shoot, so I think that was good for her to be able to process that before the family trip on her own. Tough situation, obviously. It's going to be a long haul of rebuilding. But at the end of the day, you know, whether the locals and the natives love it or not, the tourism will help. Just always want to encourage people to be mindful that it is a remote location that's filled with a lot of history and heritage, and the locals are very prideful of that, and the aloha spirit needs to go both ways. Be a good visitor, but visit because they need the economy. They need the cash. We're looking forward to it. Definitely going to be tough having the whole family there and seeing it like that, but there's still a lot of beauty to behold and hopefully some fun memories to make as a family.
Well said. Got to be honest, to the golf sickos and the listening audience, not a lot of golf in my life last week. I haven't played in 9 days, and I didn't watch any of the Sanderson Farms Championship. However...
Sanderson Farms.
Wow, that's funny. Right as you recalled that name,
I yawned.
You started yawning. I did see on Sunday that it was an all High Crown Tour Visor final group with Kashmir, Keith Mitchell, and the Bo Show, Bo Hostler. What is interesting about both of those guys is each of them have some history with Nation Golf visors. Keith Mitchell recently ordered one of our visors to his house in Georgia, which we strongly assume was for the purpose of sending it to his visor manufacturer, Imperial, and having them cut it up and reverse engineer it because we make the best High Crown Tour visor on the planet right here in America. And we know that Keith Mitchell loved our visor and wanted it. We know that. So we assume that he bought our visor to cut it up and reverse engineer it. And I feel pretty safe with that assumption. Engle, why don't you talk about the history that Bo Hostler has with the Nation Tour visor?
I was making tour visors for the Desert Classic headwear portion of the T prizes every year. And so every year I'd do a different one. A couple of the guys who were members at Mission Viejo, Mission Potato Country Club, they were wearing my Nation visors out there, and Mr. Hostler was up and coming. Wasn't a pro yet. He was still deciding on where to go to college. He saw my visor and knew my friends who played there just in passing and was like, dude, what's up with that visor? That thing's sick. Oh, it's my buddy Nation. He's a surfboard maker and does this tournament. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Dude, can you get me a couple of those? Yeah. So anyways, my buddy's dad was super cool about it. He's like, let me buy a dozen of those and give them to Hostler. Cool. Sick. He bought a dozen, gave them to him, and he was wearing them all around fucking Mission Viejo all the time. Guys were telling me, like, dude, I saw Bo wearing your visor, and be like, oh, that's cool. Because back then it wasn't much of a clothing brand yet. It was just a surfboard label, me, the tournament, and we did like a small collection here and there, but we didn't really know what we were doing. And so it was kind of neat to get that feedback. Anyways, here comes the U.S. Open, and he's qualified for it. And leading up to it, my buddy's like, dude, Bo's going to wear the visor in the tournament. I'm like, holy shit, this is so sick. Night before the tournament, he signs with Texas to go to school. And so he's head to toe in Texas for the tournament. Gets more TV time than God that weekend. He's in the lead for 3 of the 4 days. Almost wins the damn thing. And he's just on the screen the whole time, almost wearing a Nation visor. And I knew right then that the slogan for our entire economic business mantra is something my dad used to always say: a day late and a dollar short.
This was in 2012 when Bo Hostler, a product of Rancho Santa Margarita, a local South Orange County kid, had qualified for the U.S. Open up in San Francisco at Olympic, and he had the outright lead halfway through the second round. Mm-hmm. And as an amateur, he garnered quite a bit of television time.
Oh, yeah.
He was a hell of a story. I was working at NBC Sports Radio at the time. A lot of folks in the building knew Bo Hostler, and everyone was glued to that run. This was 7 years before I would meet you, but now knowing that he could have and should have been wearing a Nation Tour visor during that time on television is great. Now, neither one of the visors yesterday, Keith Mitchell or Bo Hostler, went on to win the tournament at Sanderson Farms.
Who won?
Kevin, you?
The fuck is that?
Great question. I don't know. No one does.
You and I.
So neither Bo nor Keith went on to win despite being in the final group yesterday. That is a shame for Bo Hostler, really. Would you believe me if I told you, Ryan, that Bo Hostler has never won a PGA Tour event and he has never played in the Masters? He's been on tour since 2016. That is 8 years, and it has been an absolute grind for the 29-year-old.
Yeah, for sure, but he's there.
Him being consistently on the PGA Tour is an accomplishment in and of itself, for sure. But there was a time 5-6 years ago where Bo Hostler could have racked up a couple of wins, and he's been close. This was his second time getting into a playoff on Sunday, and unfortunately his second time coming up just a shot short. But if he were to have won yesterday, that changes his life. We talked about this with Patton Kazire a couple of weeks
100%.
ago at the Procore Championship. And unfortunately, Bo Hostler is going to still be on the outside looking in despite going to a playoff yesterday. So unfortunate for the local SoCal kid who was almost Nation's first sponsored sportsman.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we could have afforded him back then, but had he won that, that would have been the last time he wore a Nation visor.
Absolutely. So I haven't played golf or watched golf in a week. You, on the other hand, played this past Wednesday out at Indian Wells Country Club in the very cool temperatures of 112 degrees. How was that?
Not a big deal. It's a lot more manageable than seeing it on your app saying, wow, it's hot out there. But I will say this. I hope the rest of yous continue to see that app and get scared and don't go out there because golf's crowded, man. Not at Indian Wells, but everywhere else, it's crowded.
I guess my one update in terms of golf now that I think about it is that I am now at a career low 12.0 handicap index number. I'm getting the slow clap. Listen for it, folks. 4 claps. Will I get 5? And no, I will not. 12.0. So what is the goal here? I ask myself. It's quite simple. I want to be in the single digits. I would love to get down to a 9.9.
You need a therapist to get lower than where you're at.
Is that right?
Yeah, your action's good enough. Couple good short game tips. Obviously, crawling out of the high side of a bunker is one of them, but a couple good short game tips would suit you well. But everything else, it's all between your ears, dude. It's you. Yeah, you have the ability to be a 6, probably.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, but you ain't going to sniff single digits until you, change your outlooks on life, brother. Just too wound up. I mean, look at your coaching career.
Speaking of that, ladies and gentlemen, we have an Ender Dragons update. For those that are new around here, I'm the head coach of my 8-year-old's soccer team. This is my 5th season coaching, but now the games count. The league keeps score and they update standings. This year has not gone well. When we first started talking about this season on the podcast, our team, the Ender Dragons, we were 1-2-0, meaning 1 win, 2 losses, 0 ties. We were in second to last place ahead of the very sorry winless squad called the Blue Bananas. When I showed you, Ryan, the standings live on the air, I asked for your candid reaction, and you said 2 things. The first thing you said was, the parents should conspire to fire you, Adam.
I didn't say they should. I asked if they are, because I have a hunch that they might be talking about it.
The second thing you said was, at least you're not as bad as the Blue Bananas. Fast forward 1 week, we lose again. Now we are 1-3-0 on a 3-game skid, but still ahead of the Blue Bananas. This set up an epic showdown in the basement of the U10 standings. Week 5, Ender Dragons versus the Blue Bananas. Everyone who listened last week knows that we lost that game. And we then dropped to 1-4-0 and into last place all alone.
Right.
Because the Blue Bananas, who hadn't won all season, beat us and now own the head-to-head tiebreaker. Because you called for my job and because the Blue Bananas have such a stupidly memorable name, the listening audience is invested now in girls rec soccer. But I think the real reason people care is the audience loves to see me fail and they love to hear you twist the knife.
Wow.
Now, believe it or not, a lot has happened since the last time we talked about this soccer season. This past Wednesday, I went to pick up my kids from school. We live walking distance, so it is the American dream to walk them to and from school. Except this dream turned into a nightmare. Because guess who also has a daughter at that school?
The Blue Bananas.
And lives in my neighborhood. And guess who I met at pickup last week? And guess who I walked home with?
Hey, you're the coach of that team we beat last week, right?
The head coach of the Blue Bananas. My wife pointed him out to me and said, hey, that's the head coach of the Blue Bananas.
Boy, did you guys have a lot to talk about.
And this was 4 days after he ruined my year. But I couldn't not talk to him. So I went up and introduced myself. This dude was so damn nice. And that is the worst because I want to hate him, but he's just a dude my age with a daughter, my daughter's age, at the same school, in the same grade, and he's a football gaffer, and I'm a football gaffer. I will say at one point in the conversation, he did mention to me how beating our team was a huge confidence boost for his team, which made me want to push him off the sidewalk into traffic, but I didn't. And when we finally went our separate ways down separate streets in the neighborhood, my wife said, imagine if that guy ever heard your podcast when you're reading texts from Boston Titanosaur saying, quote, "F*** the Blue Bananas." And then it occurred to me how weird it is to meet someone like that, and he has no idea that we are on this show MFing him and his team of 8 and 9-year-old girls.
I think he would have thought twice about that walk.
So I felt bad for a second, and then I thought to myself exactly what Boston said. F*** the Blue Bananas. So that was Wednesday. I met my rival head coach and ended up walking home with him and liking him and feeling weird about the podcast. Now it's Saturday, 2 days ago from right now. Week 6 of soccer is here. We're on a 4-game losing streak, and we're playing a team called the Lavender Legends. This was the Lavender Legends record coming into the game. 0-1-4. 0 wins, 1 loss, 4 ties. But in soccer, ties are worth 1 point, and the standings are based on points. 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, 0 points for a loss. So even though we have a win on the season, they were ahead of us going into Saturday because of all the draws. I'm not exaggerating here. At least a dozen text messages before the game hit my phone from friends and listeners waiting on updates on the game. And our pal Casey Quinn, star of the Vacationer commercials, actually wrote a fake newspaper article about the Ender Dragons that he emailed to us. And you texted me Friday night laughing your ass off at that newspaper article he had written. As Vince McMahon would say, this season has heat. So I'm feeling the pressure going in. You want me to keep losing and get fired. The audience wants storylines, and I want to snap a 4-game losing streak and not finish in dead last. And what do we produce for everyone? The worst possible outcome ever. Lavender Legends, 0. Ender Dragons, 0. A 0-0 draw. This is the kind of score that has fueled anti-soccer takes for decades. If you ever want to win an argument on why soccer sucks, just point to the fact that a game can end at every level, from 8-year-old girls up to national teams in the World Cup, in a 0-0 tie. Ties are lame. 0-0 ties are the worst thing in sports.
What'd you guys do today? We ran around in circles chasing the ball in an organized fashion while everyone just kind of did it really poorly. Wow, dude. I mean, dude, oh my God. The fact that the fan sitting there knows that there's a possibility not only for a tie, but a 0-0 tie. And then also they're sitting there like, honey, we should get back. When do you think the game's going to be over? I don't know. The ref just kind of pulls it out of his ass every time. Like no one knows. You're out there running around like, okay. And then finally like fucking out of the middle of nowhere. What? Yeah, I think we're done. I think we're done here now. I've decided. What is that, dude? Look, I'm not saying soccer's the worst. I'm not a big fan. Well, I'm not a fan at all. Just saying, my opinion, the fact that we don't know when the ending is, and it's just kind of up to whoever the fuck has the whistle in their mouth, that is the single dumbest thing about the game.
They do absolutely time the halves. And if you're following along on your own stopwatch...
They do not.
Of course they do.
They time them, but then they're just like, not yet. Maybe a little longer. Now, I don't know. Okay, yeah, fuck it. It's over.
Okay, anyway, the reason we don't go to penalty kicks at the end to break the tie is because
that'd be too exciting.
There are games afterwards that need to start on time.
You know what would help those games afterwards getting started on time? Having a legitimate game clock.
Anyway, I was at the helm.
You know I'm right.
I was at the helm for a 0-0 tie, which sucks. But on the other hand, we snapped a losing streak. We earned a point. We held a team to 0 goals for the first time all year. But it was a tie. Here's the thing about a tie. It's not a win. It's not a loss. But my goodness, I am here to tell you, it sure feels a whole heck of a lot more like a loss than a win.
Well, you both lost. That's why. There's 2 losers in a 0-0 tie. And I'm looking at one of them right now.
Thank you. Now, as we left the pitch, guess who was warming up on the field for the next game?
BB Blue Bananas.
The Blue Bananas. I walked past the coach, my new pal, and I said, "Good luck, coach." And then I said under my breath, "Hope you lose outright," which he did. So here's what we have, folks. 4 games left in the season. The Blue Bananas and the Ender Dragons are tied for dead last with the exact same record. 1 win, 4 losses, 1 tie. Good for 4 points each in the standings, but the Blue Bananas have the head-to-head. So really, the Ender Dragons are in last place. Now, the schedule is weird. We have a doubleheader this Saturday. We're off next Saturday. And then in 3 weeks, we have another doubleheader, and then the season will be over. Here are my questions for you, Ryan. How do you feel about ties?
Takes away the whole point of competing. I feel poorly about ties. Thank you for asking.
The league gives every team trophies for every player. It's part of your sign-up fees, and then the coach hands them out at the end of the year. My question to you, should I give out trophies if we finish in dead last?
No.
Should I give out trophies at all?
No.
What do you reckon I'd do?
Have a team dinner and have your notes prepped and give a little speech and recognize each player and mention a positive moment that they did so everyone can clap for them. But handing them something, what is that going to do for them growing up and facing the real world? Probably going to turn them into a whiny activist, just my opinion.
My gosh.
So you got to lay the groundwork early, Adam. You know, you're not going to build a big, tall building with a sloppy foundation, if you know what I'm saying.
Moving on, I have a dad take, a dad observation. Perhaps you can relate to this. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a parent, have you noticed that there are toys being sold everywhere? Everywhere. You no longer have to go to the toy aisle in Target or to Walmart or to Toys R Us. Toys will find you and your kids everywhere. I recently noticed toys in 3 spots that they have no business in. They are being sold at the car wash.
They've been there for years.
They were sold at DSW, which is a shoe store.
You go to DSW?
My wife does.
Nice.
I went with her and my kids.
Get some penny loafers?
And there is an entire toy section at Barnes & Noble bookstore.
What'd she get, some new flats?
She got some walking shoes.
See? It's either that or walking shoes.
Right.
Yeah.
The popular toy for kids these days are called Squishmallows. They are stuffies. Stuffies are stuffed animals. They are giant. They cost a lot of money, and they will find you at every single store you go to, including Albertsons and Ralph's. And the whole point of it is these places have found a way to start a fight between you and your kids everywhere you go. Dad, I want this. No, you have 1 million of them at the house. And why do you have 1 million? Because they're in every store that we walk into. Thank you to DSW, Barnes & Noble, the car wash, and the grocery store for starting a fight every single time we go out.
It's like how Disneyland now, every ride, the exit of every ride has to go through the themed shop of the ride. And you're like, cool, dude. Yeah, I'm with you. I will say this. There's nothing Mr. Adam Hawk loves more than not buying toys for his kids.
That's the second thing that I like the most. The first thing I like is quarterly spring cleanings where I throw those toys away. And I make the kids sort them into 3 piles. 1 is keepers, 2 is garage, 3 is donation. And I am always trying to point them to the donation pile.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course.
Speaking of dad takes, I decorated for Halloween this weekend. And I noticed you did as well. There's a skeleton.
I didn't do anything.
There's a skeleton, a life-size skeleton, appearing to hop your new front yard fence. And this skeleton is about halfway over. And the skeleton, unlike Bo Hostler, is wearing a nation visor.
Yeah, well, that was a little surprise from Pop and Mimi. They did one inside and sat it in Palmer's little chair she sits in to eat. She was totally scared, but she was trying to act like she wasn't.
Right.
She's like smiling, but you're like, oh shit, she's scared. And then you're like, go touch it, Palmer. She's like, no.
Yeah.
Little Halloween decoration. Isn't that great? It's going to be from this one to the next one, and the Christmas stuff goes up. Just your favorite time of year, Hawk.
I actually love Halloween, and I like the decor. I like that it puts you in the fall mindset. I just don't like...
Fall mindset? Phony cobwebs and spiders and skeletons? That's the fall mindset. Thanksgiving has the fall mindset. Halloween does not have the fall mindset.
Halloween signals to me summer's over.
Signal is correct. The decor having the fall mindset, incorrect. Holding you accountable here, Coach. Someone's got to.
Are we allowed to talk about what happened at your house on the ring cam?
Sure.
Because when I see the skeleton straddling your front fence in an attempt to break into your house, the first 2 words that came to my mind were...
Crackhead?
Too soon. Because your family just went through a tweaker coming into your gate, walking through your front door, and then being pushed out of the front door by your father-in-law, Big Wave Dave. By the way, call Dad the handyman. Not only can he fix everything, he can push tweakers right out the front door and handle the situation. Good for him. I was a little shocked to see you guys cosplaying someone breaking into your house after someone really did break into your house.
Well, we're kind of sending a signal out that if you do this again, you will be crawling over this thing dead as a fucking skeleton. How about that?
Couple of things. One, glad you guys are safe and nothing happened when a tweaker lady walked into your house. Really glad to hear that. Second thing, I guess there's a lifetime moratorium on Fullerton being the ghetto smack. Because the next time a tweaker walks into my front door in Fullerton, we'll be the first.
Yeah. Which city has more tweakers walking around?
Who's to say?
Who's to say? We'll let the audience vote on that. Go ahead and jump into the comments. Are there more tweakers in Fullerton or San Juan?
I will edit this out if you'd like me to, what I'm about to say. Everyone I know on hard drugs in Southern California.
Yeah, okay. Those aren't hard drugs. Those are top shelf drugs.
Oh, really?
Hard drugs are the things that make your transient friend that took the bus down from Fullerton try to enter my house.
Okay.
I'm just glad she didn't bring your guys' breed of cockroaches that you had infest this office with.
My gosh. Pete Rose. Rest in peace to Charlie Hustle. Complicated legacy because he bet on baseball.
He bet on his team to win.
It's the oldest debate in the book whether or not he should be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm not really interested in rehashing the tired points of that argument because none of them matter. The only thing that matters is what I'm about to say right now. The full name of the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown is the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. Cooperstown is a museum. Museums document history, good, bad, and ugly. And history is not subjective. It's history. In this country alone, we have a Holocaust museum, a 9/11 museum, a Pearl Harbor museum. Because museums, again, document history. The good, the bad, the ugly. The Hall of Fame is a museum. And right now, this museum does not tell the history of baseball. The all-time hit king, Pete Rose, not in. The all-time home run king, Barry Bonds, not in. The all-time Cy Young Award winner, Roger Clemens, not in. All of these guys have tainted legacies, but I don't care. This isn't the Good Guy Hall of Fame. It's the Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. Put them in, write their shortcomings on their plaques, and let the visitors figure out how to sort them in their own minds. That's my Pete Rose take. He should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago, and he absolutely should be in now because he was given a lifetime ban, not an all-time ban, and he's dead now, so the ban is up, right, baseball?
Here's my biggest problem with it. Part one, you could argue that he's the best baseball player of all time. You could make that argument, and a lot of people could believe that. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. That's straight up a valid opinion and point and argument. Step two, all that shit happened when he was the coach, so you're going to let his coaching career affect his Hall of Fame playing career? Nah, dude. Put a fucking black stripe on his sleeve of his jacket or something. I get it. If you're that high on your fucking mighty horse and you have to slap his wrist somehow, go ahead, but go watch a highlight reel of this guy. I know all these kids nowadays, they think that all the new players are always the best. Watch this dude play. That dude is baseball.
YouTube comments. Let's read some YouTube comments. We only read comments from YouTube, so listen over there or at least leave your comments over there, and the best ones will get read on the show. Donald K. says, quote, I cannot wait for the Blue Bananas head covers to come out. J.R. Hollis writes, quote, you guys need to get Blue Bananas merch on the website immediately. My wife, 4 daughters, and I would all buy a shirt that says, I have a bad feeling about this game.
That's a pretty good one.
Sabian 4005, in reference to last week's episode when I recalled the story of Jimmy Tropicana sending me an email after I resigned my membership with his golf club, and he told me to, quote, take care.
Take care.
And I said, take care is short for...
Fuck off.
Or it's short for you're dead to me. Sabian4005 wrote, take care is indeed a death sentence.
Wow.
So he agrees.
Great. You guys should start a men's group together and you can go cry on each other's shoulders.
You're such a tough guy, Engle.
Not really. Just tougher than you are.
Tony Baccardi, our friend Tony Baccardi, wrote, quote, only 125 days left until the Waste Management Phoenix Open.
Wow, Baccardi's back. He took a hiatus.
I'm glad to have him back.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to know the one and only person counting down the days to the Waste Management Open.
Mm-hmm. Tony, are you going to line up at the Odark 30 rope drop with all your cargo shorts on, getting ready to sprint to the 16th green and pee in your pants because you don't want to lose your spot all day? Okay, that's the only waste management joke I'll make today. Just a joke, guys. Everybody fucking relax.
A couple of episodes ago, I mentioned that someone in your family needs to learn how to cut hair. You can save $25,000 to $30,000 over 18 years in a family of 4. Jim Benton writes in, quote, cutting your own hair is easier than changing a light bulb. I cut my kids' hair their whole lives and started doing my own during COVID. I have saved thousands of dollars, end quote. Jim, how dare you assume that changing a light bulb for me is easy?
Yeah. Wow. I would pay to watch Adam Hawk change a light bulb. You could be famous on social media if you just filmed yourself doing house stuff all day. Be like, here we go, guys. I'm going to attempt to screw this hose on the bib.
Maximilian6561 writes in, quote, I am in the beer business, and my buddy who works for Heineken just informed me that the Beer Hunter in La Quinta is closing.
Yep.
What a bummer, end quote. Now, I looked this up. The Desert Sun reports that the Beer Hunter closed on September 24th, 2 weeks ago. I believe, and I don't want to speak for you, that we have a love-hate relationship with the Beer Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely a staple of the desert, and it is absolutely one of the worst places in the world. In my opinion, it has simultaneously gone downhill in quality while going uphill in prices. That being said, sad to see it go because it's such a great safety net and fallback if you need a place to sit down 10 people to get some wings and some beers. Engle, the Beer Hunter is closed. What is your take?
Well, I'm quite upset I didn't get the heads up. Had I known that they were going to be shunting those doors, I would have been there to try and peel some of those fucking staff bags, dude. Where did those go? Who got those? There were some legendary staff bags up there, signed from different eras of professional golfers that have played in the Des. I would have really loved to have been able to negotiate the release of some of those hostages. But unfortunately, that did not happen. Someone's got them. I can't imagine they threw them in the landfill. Can you? They're out there. We got to find them. Beer Hunter was always a great place for those of us that aren't vampires. And what I mean by that is when the sun's out, post-round drink, some wings, an early supper, great little spot to catch a game while the sun is still somewhat erect. But as soon as that old ticker goes limp, I'm telling you, and it begins into the dusk and midnight hour, the shift change there is just something you want to witness once just so you know about it, but you really don't want to witness again because what that place turns into on that dusk shift change is quite a polar opposite of the customer base and vibe that it has when the daytime is sunning, so to speak.
The words you have weaved together ever since misusing shunting have been absolutely incredible.
Well, we, in our little surf area here, we me and my buddies, we used shunt a lot, and we would use it specifically in the wrong context. Like shunting to me it's kind of an inside joke. I'm glad you picked up on it at least.
Inside jokes play really well to big audiences who don't get them.
Hey, I'm trying to enjoy myself too, Adam. Do you have a problem with that?
We end this episode with a note on our friend Chris, a.k.a. Cousin Klubs. Many of you know Chris for his incredible craftsmanship with the handmade pitch mark repair tools, or you know him from being a frequent guest on our YouTube live shows during the holiday season, or you have seen him at the past couple of Nation Desert Classics. Chris, without a doubt, is one of the realest dudes in the space, and he's probably the only true core lord that we know. We love the guy. He's a gentle giant and just a great soul. Earlier this week, Chris, who is our age, announced that he has testicular cancer. He felt some weird pain in his left nut, went to urgent care, and was informed fairly quickly that he had cancer and that he was about to be one ball down. Everything with the procedure went as well as it could. And according to Chris himself, unfortunately, the cancer did spread a little bit to his abdomen and lungs, which will require chemo. The doctors and Chris are extremely confident that they are going to whip this thing, and that is amazing to hear. I will be totally honest, and I don't want to make this about me, but I've had as close to zero experience with cancer as anyone at the age of 37 could have. People always say everyone knows someone who's had cancer or gone through it. Everyone has been affected by cancer. I mean, in a very indirect way, yes, I know people have had it, but I truly don't feel like I have ever been affected by cancer until Chris announced his. And I will be real, it freaked me the hell out because I love the dude. I love the guy. And cancer is scary as hell. And Chris and I are the same age, and he's healthy and he has kids. So it's very hard to read that your friend has cancer. But I understand that so many people listening right now have felt those feelings that I'm feeling right now. This is just my first time with it. Again, not about me. This is about Chris. And Engle and I called him on Friday. We talked over FaceTime. The guy is all smiles. He's ready to fight. And he really put me at ease. So I appreciate that. The guy with cancer is not responsible for putting his friends at ease. It should be the opposite. So I really, really do thank Chris for that conversation and his confidence. And I have all the faith in the world that Cuzzo is going to kick cancer's ass. But we bring it up here to say we love the guy. We are praying for him. And all he wants is all the dudes listening to do the right thing and go get checked out for everything. Go do the little things that can catch the big things early. That's his message. We are here to get that out for him. Also, on a somewhat lighter note, whenever I would finish a round of golf with the same golf ball, I would call it a Lance Armstrong round because I played with just one ball. I will now be calling those rare rounds the Cousin Klubs rounds.
I love it.
Your thoughts on Chris and the announcement? You have as much confidence as he has.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw it, just knowing him, his demeanor, his general mindset as a human, since we've spent so much time with him in these last couple years, knowing that, and on top of it, knowing that he has been successfully on the right side of this health journey for himself in losing weight, eating right, getting a lot healthier. Knowing those two things, right when I saw the news, I texted him. I was just like, hey, just want to let you know, I'm not worried one bit. You're going to crush this. For one, you have to. You got little ones and a gal that needs you. And two, look at you. Physically, look at who you've just become and mentally who you are. It's time to hammer down. And so I have all the faith in the world for him, and the prognosis looks really good. The percentage of beating this thing and survival and all that fun stuff is way in his favor. So he is going to breeze through this. And he will be, mark my words, he will be at the Desert Classic this year. There's always a positive message that can be made and taken in the toughest of times. And the fact that what he used his platform for with this diagnosis and troubling news was to encourage everyone else to go get checked. Hopefully it inspires all of us to just stay on top of our things, not only for ourselves, but for the people who need us and our loved ones. We're with you, buddy. Like I told you before, not even worried.
Chris also made a point when he announced that he had cancer that he's not looking for any special treatment, any kind of sympathy. He's not trying to drum up a GoFundMe or any of that. I will say this. If it comes to that where he needs support in that way, Nation Golf will be behind him immediately as soon as he gives us the green light so we can help in any way that we can, if it comes to that. In the meantime, though, I would say that everyone should go to Chris's page at Cousin Klubs, Klubs with a K, Cousin with a C, and just support this guy. Go follow him, see what he does. He is one of the premier craftsmen in our little space. And beyond being a premier craftsman, he is simply one of the best people you will ever meet. So he is worth supporting, not because of the cancer, but just because he is such a good guy. And this kind of gives us an excuse to talk about him and point you in that direction. Again, to echo Ryan's sentiments, we are confident, we love the guy, we have his back, and we're excited to see him whenever we see him again. But it was good to get some FaceTime with him on Friday. And I remember my older brother telling me a long time ago that boys text, men call. When your friends are going through something important, if they are announcing that they are expecting a child, if they're going through any sort of death in the family, a big promotion at work, whatever it is, pick up the phone and call. Go beyond the text. The call is what's important. Hear each other's voices, and if you can, see each other's faces.
Love it.
And on that note, we're going to get on out of here. Engle, this will be the last time I see you until you are back from Hawaii. Until then, we wish you the best, and we will talk to you next time.
Aloha.
Arugula.